All right, class. This video is just going to be a few more of the basics about the Aztecs, and then we'll get into a video or two on the daily life that they experienced. Let me hop over to the PowerPoint. And I got another question for you. You ready? The Aztecs lived. Where'd they live? Where'd they live? That's correct. The Highland Basin of Mexico. Woohoo! Go enjoy a candy bar or um, a Rice Krispie treat or uh, what else could you have? Some banana bread. All right. So one of the core aspects of Aztec life is their intensive agriculture. Now remember, so they're in a basin, and so they've got this lake. The lake in some areas we'll learn is somewhat brackish. In other areas it's freshwater. And so they're exploiting the lake using raised fields or chinampa agriculture, and we'll talk about that a lot in the next video. But also by terracing some of the hillier lands for their food. Grow anything on a chinampa. It's a kind of a wetland system, flowers, foods, lots of stuff. Trade and marketplaces, these are going to be controlled by the Aztec state in terms of forcing vendors from the hinterlands, from parts of the empire, to sell in the Aztec markets as opposed to on their own. This is one of the ways, even though we discuss the Aztec empire as hegemonic, it's one of the ways in which they are keeping their hold on the extent of the empire. And again, another method of control is transplanting some of these skilled laborers into the capital. Warfare, we have it seems, I would argue, I think, more formal warfare than we see with the Maya, at least in terms of ranking and meaning and that kind of thing. Maybe it just isn't preserved for the Maya, but I can't really say. So a common man through valor on the battlefield could gain social standing, though, as Soto mentioned in the discussion about during the Apocalypto screening, there's like a limit in the social hierarchy that you can attain as a commoner just through military valor. But we'll learn this kind of emphasis on individual skill and valor on the battlefield is one of the things that made them not set up well to handle what the Spanish were bringing. The image to the left I really like is the Mahuahuitl, the club that has obsidian blades inserted into it. So that's gonna, those blades are sharp, but they're also really brittle. So, when they make contact, so if they don't slice clean through, those blades are gonna crack and fragment and embed themselves in the wound. I mean, this is a nasty, nasty weapon. I won't link to it, but you can find on YouTube, they have those shows that where they recreate ancient weapons and try them out, and this thing just is terrorizing the jello mold that they attack. And we also have really cool sets of armor and helmets and stuff. So you see the kind of different rankings and different meaning behind, there could be behind the way they dressed or the kind of weapon they used. If any of you have seen Spaceballs, you're having a flashback, I'm sure. And damn it if I don't want some Jaguar PJs, Jaguar onesie. All right. And all of this, again, through those flower wars are to set up tribute relationships. So let's not forget about that. Human sacrifice. So the question becomes uh, the degree to which this occurred. It definitely occurred, just like in many other Mesoamerican cultures. Um, remember that I think it's a pan-Mesoamerican logic that the sacred substance is the blood, and the you can just do auto sacrifice and you have the blood of animals. There's lots of ways to get blood, not always human sacrifice, but um human sacrifices were enacted, especially with captives, right? So what I would say is we know it occurred among the Aztecs. The degree is very debatable because when they come across as bloodthirsty, savage, you know, we have to question, is that coming from kind of a colonial worldview? Also, the way I usually talk about it in this course is I say, they're a different culture. They're going to have different attitudes towards death, towards the human body. And in our culture, we show reverence for the deceased, for corporal remains through distance, right? We don't touch those things. We inter them, never to be, brought to light again, never to be handled again. And that is a way to show respect. But in other cases, the 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 respect can be shown in ways that we might see as crossing a line or disrespectful or gross or whatever, however you want to put it. And I just don't know that you can comfortably you just can't judge it when it might be at such a fundamental level of difference. Like, they're both expressing respect, but just in different ways. So take that all with what you will. Come to your own kind of sense of what you think. In a religious sense, when you think that human or blood is the thing that makes the religious engine run, you could get to some pretty extensive sacrificial intensity. All right, so I got to have some fun here. We will when we talk about Aztec religion, I'm going to show you a statue of this guy that actually bled human blood. So that's cool. Look forward to that. Sometimes you're taking a guy's heart out and it flies right the fuck out of your hand. That's embarrassing. I'll come back to this. Yeah, human sacrifice. Yay. Okay. So a zompantli is a skull rack. And what you see in the pictures is the base of the skull rack. Out of that base, there would be wooden poles going up and going across. It would almost look like a picket fence. And on the horizontal beams, they would slot skulls along, right? And it would be a show of strength. So we find the bases, the tops are all going to be organic and not survive. But we find the bases at Aztec sites. There's one at Tenochtitlan, but also Maya sites. So Chichen has one, Copan has one. So that's, I think, very interesting. Zompantli is one of those words you'll need to know for the test. So it's a skull rack. Yeah, sometimes you give a thumbs up about how enthused you are about having your heart removed. Okay, so this is just more the last bit I'll say on this kind of their attitudes and our attitudes, and we need to be aware and not be ethnocentric. So you see this artifact and it looks almost obscene. You have the front of a skull taken off and stone blades pushed through it. We would never do this, right? And why would they? You're left to question it. Well, this is an Aztec depiction of Tlaloc, the rain god. And Notice he's got an axe for a face. Now, why? Um, so that stone chert that's found in the ground, the belief was that it was put in the ground through lightning strikes. So Chak and Tlaloc, Maya and Aztec rain gods, get associated with stone blades because it's the lightning strikes that are creating the raw materials in the Mesoamerican view. And I think it kind of makes sense. Sometimes when you strike these stones as you're making a tool or a blade, there is a spark, right? Same kind of spark you would see when lightning were to hit something on the ground. So the image on the right makes a lot more sense if you understand it in its cultural context, right? And who it's depicting and how it's depicting and what that means. All right, so I hope that kind of ends our intro. I hope you've enjoyed what you've heard so far. We'll get into daily life in the next video. I'll see you there.